Okay, so we're going to talk briefly about variables and how we use them in our kind of Python programs. So first thing we want to talk about just what a variable is. It's different than what we talked about in a math class. So in a math class, you would maybe see an expression, 3x plus 2 equals 10, and you're actively trying to figure out what the variable is. That's not our goal here. Our goal is not to find an unknown value. Our goal is to store a value that we know. So what we'll do is we will basically talk about how we can make a variable and then use it. So we want our variable names to be descriptive. So if I want a variable that's going to store a name, I'd say name equals Joe. That's going to be a string. And then I can print hi plus name, and then it should go and grab that and it says hi Joe. So what it's doing behind the scenes is we think about this as our box model. When I make a variable, I have a box, a place for it. It's called name. What it's done is it has put Joe in there. And so when it sees this variable name, it goes and it references what's in that box and pulls out the content. And that's why I get our output there of Joe. So that's kind of one way we can use it. We can also increment variables. So if we're looking at this and we wanted a numeric value, so if I said score equals 0, and then I wanted to add 1 to score, I could do score equals score plus 1 more. Now mathematically that doesn't make any sense, right? If we were to think about it, what's happening here, if this is an x equals x plus 1, you would subtract x, and you get 0 equals 1, and there's no solution to that. That's not, again, what we're doing here. What we have here is, with our idea of a box model, we have a variable called score, and it has a 0 in it to start with. That's this assignment right here. And then how this works with variable assignment is this side, everything over here happens first, and then it assigns that value with our equal sign. This is not a test for equality. This is an assignment. So this assignment, what it says is take the value that score was, which was 0, add 1 to it, and that's 1, and then assign that value to the variable called score, and we get a 1. So that's going to output a 1 for us. And in fact, we do that with whatever you want. You could plus equals 2, you could minus 10, but a standard one would just be plus 1. So if we were to print score, what we should see, right, is that we have 1. If I was to do this again and print it, I need to actually print the statement afterwards, I would see that I have 2. All right, and this is so common that we actually have shorthand notation. So I could say score plus equals 1, and that stands for the same thing. These are equivalent statements. So if I was to print score again, what we should see is it's incremented again. Right, so I got 1, 2, 3 because I've added 1 to itself 3 times. We can also override a variable. So if I said score and then I said high score equals 10, I could say that my score updates to be 11, I might want to set my high score to equal that score. So what's happening here, again, behind the scenes, I now have 2 boxes. I have one that is score, and that starts off with a 0. And then I have high score, and that is going to have a 10 in it. I'd have some conditional statement that's going to talk about how to assign this, but basically what I'd look at is this is now 11, and my assignment statement here is going to take the value that's in score and assign it to high score. So high score is now going to become 11. All right. One thing to think about and keep track of is this value of 10 is now gone. We haven't put it anywhere, and now we've lost that value. So when we overwrite a variable, we need to be careful about if we need to get back to that. If we wanted a previous high score, we'd have to put that somewhere, and that somewhere is going to be a variable statement. All right.